Welcome, 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 everybody, to a very special edition of the Coffee Break. We have on this call none other than Dr. Reverend Pastor J in the great neighborhood of North Lawndale. And as many of you know, Inhabit's going to be in North Lawndale this year, a big move for us, and we're really, really, really excited about. And we thought it'd be fun. Most of you all know Jay, and we'll hear a little bit from him and maybe some special guests. We'll see. Um, but we thought it'd be really fun to just have an open conversation about Lawndale, the kind of miracle of Lawndale, the history of it, Jonathan's experience of it. And as per usual, we'll chat. He and I will chat for about a half hour. If there's questions that are burning, you can drop those in the chat. But then at about half past the hour, we'll just open it up to have kind of a broader conversation with everybody. Sound like a plan, everybody? Cool, cool, cool. Other kind of small housekeeping. Yeah, I guess for now, kind of keep yourself muted, and then I'll invite you all back half past the hour. So, Jay, welcome, sir. Welcome. It's good to see you.
Good to be seen, man. How are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been looking
Good.
forward to this for a while.
Everybody on here, good to see y'all as well. Wonderful people.
Oh, these wonderful people. Okay, so I don't think I've ever asked you this before. Do you recall, here's my first question. Do you recall the very first time in your life that you heard about, I'm going to say Lawndale Community Church? Not so
Mm,
even the neighborhood, but Lawndale Community Church.
okay.
Slow
Absolutely.
that movie down. Where were you? What was happening?
Absolutely. So it's really funny. So I got introduced. Yeah, I sent it. Look at text message and an email. I'm trying to bring my special guest in. Um, so in 2004, it's kind of crazy. I was just telling somebody the story the other day. So it was my first year um, teaching in Chicago public schools. And I was a part of a program called the Academy for Urban School Leadership. And this was like for people who were shifting from one career into education. And so what you did was, it was like a 1-year program. You earned your master's degree. You got to teach in an inner city school. And then like in return for this degree, you had to like give a certain amount of years teaching in the inner city context or whatever. So the young lady who was my mentor teacher, I was just telling somebody this because I just saw her at another event the other day, Miss Melody Brown. Shout out to Melody. Um, she was from North Lawndale, born and raised, like a Lawndalian all day. And so many people may not know this, but I'm a hip hop lover, right? And so there was this Christian hip hop group at the time that I really loved called the Cross Movement. And the Cross Movement was going to be performing in Chicago. And I'm thinking to myself, where in Chicago would a hip hop group becoming a Christian hip hop group? Because I hadn't heard anybody talk about Christian hip hop in Chicago when I was coming back from college. And it was going to be at this place called The House. And I'm like, The House. And they said that it was The House, Chicago's hip hop worship experience. I said, what? There's a hip hop worship experience in Chicago? Where is this? And so I go look it up, and I'm on this computer, and I don't know, this is probably before Google. So I'm like looking on Yahoo, like, where is this house place? And it says it's going to be at Lawndale Community Church. And I'm like, what? Where is this? And so I asked Melody. I said, Melody, have you ever heard of a Lawndale Community Church? And she looked at me like I had 3 eyes. Like, she was like, of course I heard of Lawndale. Everybody knows Lawndale. What do you mean? Have I heard? Everybody knows Lawndale. I live down the street. I live on Independence. Everybody knows. Now they got a health center and a gym. I mean, she just named all the things. I'm like, oh, I'm a Southsider. I never heard of it. And she was like, yeah, it's right on Ogden. Like from here, you got to take this street, go this way, blah, blah, blah. So that day, I got in my car after work and I drove over to because I could not believe that, first of all, there was a hip hop worship experience in Chicago. But then the way she talked about Lawndale, I felt bad that I never heard of it. So I drive over there and I get on Ogden and it's night, it's like evening time because this is wintertime Chicago now. So the sun goes down early. And I don't see all that in Lawndale. But I drive on the little service drive and I see one building and it says Youth Center. My mind. If anybody doing something with hip hop and it's got something to do with Christian, it's probably happening in the youth center. So I pull over randomly and I just get out and I knock on the glass door of this youth center. Now, I don't know what's going on in there. I don't know who's in there because before then, this is before we had the beautiful glazing we have now, Chelsea. It was still that green stuff, whatever. So I couldn't see inside. So I knock on the door, opens the door. It's a young man about my age. You know, I said, "Excuse me, man. I know you don't know me, but I heard that y'all do like hip hop here. And I'm a youth pastor too. On the south side. I work at a school. I'm just trying to see." He's like, "Oh, come on in." At this time, for those who know him, this is Terrence Gadsden, Dr. Terrence Gadsden, DJ Rock On, right? So I met him randomly, just walking up to this door. And he lets me in, and inside, I walk in and there's graffiti all on the walls. He got turntables set up. His kids in there rapping, and I'm like, where am I right now? And me and Terrence talked for hours about cross movement, about hip hop, about Christianity. I mean, we were brothers. We found out that our birthdays were a day apart, November 9th, November 10th. Like, it was the most impromptu, but like God ordained meeting I ever had. And that was my first interaction. And first, I still didn't know. I had never met Coach. I hadn't met wonderful Chelsea. I hadn't seen all that Lawndale was. All I knew was there's a church on the west side that does Christian hip hop, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. And that's how I got introduced to Lawndale Community Church in 2004.
Wow. I love that story so much. And that's the day you met Terrence.
Yes, randomly. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Okay, well, so we should introduce our extremely special guest. Do you want to introduce?
Yes, she doesn't even know. But hey, I am bringing, because today I have been told to tell about the story of Lawndale Community Church and what it means. Look at her eyes. And so I told her I'm no longer going to tell this story without including Chelsea in it, because there is no Lawndale Community Church without Chelsea Johnson. So everybody give it up for the one, the only Chelsea Johnson, who's going to join me today in sharing about the story of Lawndale Community Church as the questions are asked. So don't worry, it ain't nothing you ain't going to know, Chelsea. Unmute yourself, girl. So she left.
She comes away. Oh my goodness.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to multitask because he just invited me on here, and I wasn't prepared for this. So okay, I think I'm okay.
She's great.
Chelsea, if you got other things you got to do, you let us know. But
no, I'm gonna move and I'm gonna just move and keep doing stuff. But okay.
Okay, real quick, we'll come back because people are gonna have questions for you. But
okay,
same question for you. Take us back all the way to the beginning for you and Lawndale Community Church.
It was back just a couple of years ago when I was 8 years old. No, I'm just playing. I was born and raised 3816 West Ogden Avenue, which is right across the street from the church. My building no longer stands. The clinic is now building another building on that property. This would be the second building built on that property since it was my home. And my mother helped me get across Ogden Avenue to go to the corner store, Blaken's Corner Store. And I was walking to the store on this side of the street, and I looked in the window and I saw some kids and a white lady playing a guitar, and they were singing. So I proceeded to the store. I came back and I asked my mom, could I go? Because, you know, when you see kids back in those days, you want to play. You were like, I want to go play. And so my mom said I can go and be a part, go play. Let me close this door because the darn is a little loud. Okay. And so I went in, and her name was Erin. And it was Vacation Bible School. And so I started attending that Vacation Bible School because it was a whole week long. And that's how I got introduced to Lawndale Community Church. I was attending another community church in the neighborhood and had those kids were a little more aggressive and rougher. And so I decided to start coming to Lawndale Community Church, where I felt a little more loved and, you know, supported and encouraged. So that's how I started coming to the church, by way of Vacation Bible School.
Wow. Okay, So y'all can go back and forth as much as you want, but then um, I just kind of want to open it up. Like, tell us, and we can go past half the hour. We don't need to keep it to 13 minutes. We can go longer, but some people on this call definitely know about the story, and some might not. So let's keep in mind that some people might not have ever heard of Lawndale Community Church or North Lawndale itself. So
Hmm.
let's hear a bit more of the story. What in the world happened? How were you both involved? I mean, I know Jay wasn't involved until um, relatively recently, as far as the grand narrative, but um, what happened? What happened? And we'll talk about what's happening now too, of course. But tell us a story.
About
How did how did Lawndale, like, from, let's just say, Chelsea, let's start with you.
okay.
You started attending,
Hmm.
um, but like first person, what did you see happen over years and even decades? What has
Oh,
God
okay.
done?
Okay. Oh.
And what did you get to be a part of?
Right. So it was a small storefront church at that time. We were worshiping in where what now is the youth center, and it was probably 20 some people. We had like old couches, old chairs, whatever we had that had been donated. We were having worship service, and coach would kind of preach out the Bible and use what do you call that? The thing you write on, and it's an overhead projector, but you write
Oh
on
yeah.
it.
That's
What
it.
were those?
What were those called? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are those called? Where you write
A
transparency?
transparency
Yeah,
That's
machine.
it.
Thank you,
yeah,
Thanks,
Chelsea.
Chels.
yes. And so he would teach off of that and put the scriptures down, and so it was real. It was yeah, it was very plain and basic. I mean, he'll write the stories, tell the stories. We would sometimes have Q&A because, like I said, we were a small group. So then we started to grow because the families started to grow. People were having children. Families wanted to participate because they enjoyed. We would have like little meals. And so we would have what is called ebony and ivory meetings to learn because we were, black culture, white culture intertwined, and then we would have ebony, ivory, and then harmony meetings where we would
Mhm.
grow to understand the different cultures and kind of engage because we would have different fellowships, potlucks, meals, and everything. So as we were smaller, it was easier to do those types of things. Coach had a lot of friends, suburban friends, that kind of contributed to the ministry and what began the dialogue of the health center. Coach's wife Ann and Art went to the same college, and so they and one of Art's earlier girlfriends was roommates with Ann, so they had known each other in college, and I'm in the middle of. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't. I gotta give me a minute. I can't go now. Yeah, yeah. And so Art was in medical school. Art went away and went to medical school and wanted to come back. And he actually wanted to initially go to Africa and do ministry. And by way of conversation with Coach and Ann and what they were doing here in North Lawndale, um, they were encouraged to possibly come and start a health center here. And so in 1984, we started in '78 as high school students. Not me, because I wasn't. I was too young. But in '78, our church started, and in '84, we started the conversation of starting a health center. And um, it was like now you wouldn't be able to see a patient in what that health center looked like. I mean, we're talking about concrete floors, donated old machines and materials. Um, we made the banner and hung it on the wall, hung it on the front of the building. The building was still looked a little dilapidated. because we had bought it was an old Salvation Army building that was across the street, and they bought that building to start the health center. Prior to starting the health center, though, we had bought the building to start a gym because we were worshiping in the same place where they had Coach had brought a weight machine to start soliciting people, some of the high school students he was working with, to come be a part of Bible study. And so their weight machine was in the same building that our worship area was in. And so we were able to get the Salvation Army building for a little of nothing. And so we bought that and started digging out to make a gym. And we would come Saturday mornings, volunteers all over, volunteers from like Wheaton, because that's where Coach was from. Neighborhood kids, a lot of neighborhood kids would come and volunteer. And we would work like an 8-hour workday, digging out dirt out of the ground. And it just seemed like it was never gonna come together. But by the grace of God, one of Coach's friends had a what's that that Doug truck, it's like a little truck with a
A
Yeah, I
bobcat.
like that.
Bobcat, yes. So he had a Bobcat, so he was able to come and help get more dirt out of the gym. And so we dug gym. It took about 9.5 months to dig the gym out. Then we dug gym out and we had this concrete floor and they started playing basketball. They like got a rim, a makeshift rim, and that became the gym. Now, over time, it has manifested into this beautiful space because, again, relationships. Coach had relationships with the Chicago Bears, well, Pat McCaskey, the McCaskey family. And then we did a fundraiser, a volleyball game with some of our people from the church, some of the moms, and some of the dads of the church did a fundraiser and they did a volleyball game, and all the Chicago Bears. So this was like Mike Singletary, all that old team, like the Super Bowl shuffle team. And
Best team ever.
we did a volleyball game, and so those funds were raised. All the money we raised from those funds, we also did a cookbook. The moms of the wives of the
Mhm.
Bears and the moms here, we did a cookbook, and we sold the cookbook. And so the all that was fundraising to help get the gym where it is now. And so we were able to put in a wooden floor, banners, ramp. All of these things was the start of that. Now, clearly, we didn't raise enough funds for that. They had to still use some of their funds, but we got it done. Um, and in that gym, on the because the building has been expanded twice. In that gym was where the we also housed the clinic, the health center, and the health center was on the west side of the building in like a little corner area here, like two exam rooms. I mean, it was small. And I was as a little girl, I went, my chart number 631. I was one of the original patients in the health center. Now, fast forward through my life, I was a patient first. Then I worked at the health center. I worked as a case manager, and I also worked in the HR department. So I worked there a couple of times. And then I was on the board of directors for about 15 years prior to getting off. And I have returned back in the past 2 years, and I'm actually the board chair. So I've kind of went up the ranks of being a part of this health center. And the health center today is, I mean, I'm sure Pastor Jill will tell you more about the health center, but the health center today is seeing thousands and thousands of patients. Um, Many doctors. Now, back in the day, all of our doctors they lived in our community, which was really good. We really did have a community church and a community health center. Like I would have had dinner with most of the doctors that worked there. They had been in our house. I mean, so we had a really close knit fellowship earlier in the days. They've grown now. It's over 700 staff at the health center now. So it's impossible to have that kind of relationship now. But we still work hard to keep the community aspect and the unity of the ministries together. Then fast forward 1987. Well, before 1987, yeah, no, before 1987, I actually had come into I was living in a building that was roach infested. So some of y'all might not even know what a roach is, but I don't like bugs, and it's a bug that crawls, so I don't like it. And one morning I woke up and a roach had dropped out of the ceiling onto my ear,
Oh,
and I lost my mind. I mean, I was mortified. So I bust in the coach's office and fussing at him like, you doing all these things to help people. We need help. We don't have a sufficient place to live, and we don't, And so coach responded to that. And we started the Samaritan House through the church. And the Samaritan House was a home that we had bought a building over on Avis and fixed it up. And families that needed help, it was only 2 units at the time. And we were the first family to move into that Samaritan House. So there's a big write up about that in the newspaper because people weren't doing that kind of work back then. And so we were able to stay in the Samaritan House, and my mom's rent was like maybe $300 a month. And that $300 a month was actually put into a bank account to be saved up. So when we're able to move on, because this was just transitional housing, this was, a temporary housing till you can get yourself established to where you can afford to live on your own again. And so that money will go into a bank account to help you put down your deposit to get your next house or apartment and to help you with your bills to get established. So in the process of doing that Samaritan House, housing was a thought, like we need some housing. And so then we started in 1987 Lawndale Christian Development Corporation, which would do housing in the community. And they started over on Avers, where the Samaritan House was, 22nd and Avers. They bought their first building, just one building, fixed it up, and then was able to sell it. And so that started the Development Corporation. Richard Townsend, Dave Doig, some of the names those were some of our original people that started the health center. Andy Krumzik, um, a lot of, again, funders, that kind of saw what was happening, the transformation happening in the community, joined in and came alongside of us. We did also in the community have our elected officials that had relationships with a lot of us, which was beneficial because we were able to get funding for different things. Like we were very close to our state rep. Our state rep that was then still comes to church now. He's a member here. We had Bobby Steele, which was the Cook County Commissioner in the community, coming to the church. So we had a lot of assets, people that were assets for us in the community, which was also helpful. And we had doctors in the community. I mean, it was a very well suited situation that allowed for our ministry to be able to flourish with the people that were present. And Coach has done several sermons on it's in the house. All that you need is in the house. And all that we needed was in the house. I mean, we had a church of people that were doing the work, making the commitment, making the sacrifice to make things happen. So then we have the Development Corporation, which has done years later, has done lots of apartment buildings. It's probably about 6 or 7 apartment buildings in the community, managed and run by the Development Corporation. Hundreds and hundreds of individual houses for affordable housing that has been done with partnerships with the United Power Faction of Justice, community, other community organizations they've partnered with and done housing. So housing has flourished in the community because of Lawndale Christian Development Corporation. And again, I was a recipient of living in one of the houses through LCDC. I've been on the board of directors for LCDC. I never worked at LCDC, but I was able to. What's happening? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I was getting some phone calls. I think that threw it out. Yeah. So again, been a big part of LCDC and what has happened in the community through that. Then fast forward, I don't remember the year. I should remember the year that we started the legal center. And Cliff, what was it? 2010. 2010, Cliff Nellis, this young white boy, comes into the community. He came into the community as an atheist and just wanted to do some work, which was very interesting. And through him coming to do volunteer work and work with, I think Phil was the first person that connected him with us. He got converted, so much so that he went to school for, and he went to school and got a degree in what was it, Pastor Jay? Was it? It's not seminary. It's is it seminary? Okay, theological degree or something, and decided he wanted to give his life to doing service in the community. And so he was a lawyer by trade, and so he decided to start a legal center. And so he wanted to partner with the church. And so now we have Lawndale Christian Legal Center. And again, 2025, in these 15 years, the impact has been great. Several people have transformed their life through the legal center, gotten a lot of support, not in jail. And Cliff has really pushed the system to now get what is called help me, Pastor Brooks. What is it called with the
you're talking about
restorative justice? Yes, restorative justice. Forgive me, y'all. I told y'all I wasn't prepared for this, so I'm trying like off
You're
the
doing
cuff.
amazing.
But he started a restorative justice court. Well, fought to get a restorative justice court here in the community, which they started with peace circles, and then it's like instead of them having to go through through the judicial system for their cases to be heard, they now can come through the restorative justice court and be faced with who they did their violations to. So if you robbed me, you can come and have a court session with me there, apologize to me, ask for my forgiveness. I can choose to forgive, show grace. It's just it seems unimaginable that this can be a possibility, but this is the design that I think God had in mind all along for all of us.
Yes.
So to be able to address the person you violated, be forgiven by the person you violated, and then live in harmony with them, live in community with them, have fellowship with them, become friends with them. I mean, I'm just so grateful and thankful that Cliff had this vision and he works hard to fight for that. They're about to open up a multi-million-dollar unit that they'll host this restorative court. The people that the assailants, the people that have done the damage, will be able to live in a quality, affordable unit and go through life to be restored, have a library there, schooling, job readiness. I mean, it's unbelievable. You guys, when you get here, you'll get to see all of this because you got to come visit. I'm not doing any justice with it. You got to see it all. And so again, through my tenure of being here, I was one of the first board members for the Legal Center. I never worked at the Legal Center, but my brother was a recipient of the Legal Center services. So I've worked with the Legal Center in that capacity. I was also a mentor early on for the Legal Center with some of the students that they were working with, because the ages I think is you 13, I think has been their youngest client, up to 24. Now they do some stuff beyond that because it just calls for it. But that's what the Restorative Justice Hub is for. And so then we got the Legal Center. Now through let me see, trying to think if I missed any other things. Through the health center, they started a fitness center because you want health starts with your body. Take care of yourself, and you want to be proactive, not reactive. And so they've started a health center. They've established a relationship with the greater what is it, Botanical Gardens, and they have started a farm on Ogden, which grows vegetables, and so they have a little farm on Ogden, and they also have what is it, the fish with the what is that called? The
Aquaponics, I think.
I love it.
Aquaponics, yes. So they have aquaponics where they the somehow it's a system. I don't know all of it. You probably already know the system, but basically the fish eat the roots or something or the I don't know. And anyway, you get this amazing lettuce. I mean, it's my favorite lettuce. And so they have these tanks down there with fish in them. And I don't know if it's the poop or it's something with these fish in tanks and something like that. But Pastor Jay can give you a little bit more because Pastor Jay is married to an agriculturist and she's helped start the farm. So he can give you a little more information on that. But so we have a health center, we got a farm on Ogden. So we even at the health center now for us patients that have maybe diabetes or high blood pressure, there's training to be able to utilize the vegetables that we grow down there. And so they have a veggie RX. So instead of just a prescription for medicine, instead of giving them medicine all the time, you give them veggie RX and fitness RX. So now they get like if you're diabetic, you can get a box of vegetables, a prescription for a box of vegetables every week or so. And not only because some vegetables we don't even know it was a vegetable. They like it's unfamiliar to us in our community. And so they have training. They can go down to the farm and go to classes and they have training on how to cook those vegetables, how to utilize those vegetables to make healthy meals. Then we got Fitness RX where they can go to the fitness center. They get a year, that initial visit is a year prescription to the fitness center. So you can go as frequently as you want to go. They're open Monday through Sunday. So you can go to the fitness center every day and just walk. And there's a big staff of people that can help you learn how to use the equipment, different regimens that would be beneficial to you. And, so it has just been rewarding. We do substance abuse. So pretty much every obstacle or challenge that we faced in our community, we as a church and a ministry has worked hard to overcome that challenge by way of the services we provide here in the community. So we have a substance abuse clinic now because we struggle with drug addiction and alcohol in our community. And so it's not to say that we're encouraging it, but we have a problem here and we want to address our problem. And we don't want our men and women using unhealthy equipment. So we offer equipment. We don't want them using the street drugs. So we give them something that will help them not want to crave the street drugs. I mean, it's a high death rate right now with street drugs. And so we're trying to save lives as well as when they come into the clinic, they're Christian men and women that are working with them, that can pray with them, that can introduce them to the Lord, that show them a different route. Some of these people that's working with them have been where they are, so they can speak into their life in that way. So, like I said, we have tried to work hard to offer everything that's an obstacle in our way, an alternative. And that's what that was the foundation of Lawndale Community Church, to come into this community and be an asset. And it has definitely been that. So I've said a lot, and I've probably missed a lot because it's a lot. But like I said, this is just a taste. You have to come and see. And you got to be willing to spend a couple of hours here because it's a lot to see and do. I mean, like I said, these apartment buildings, you got to see the new ones. They just redid the building. It's beautiful and it's handicap accessible. So people in wheelchairs, I mean, everything, we try to think of every obstacle and try to work hard to help people overcome that obstacle because you don't want to lose people in your community. We don't want people to move out. We want them to stay here. And we want them to stay here and be able to utilize resources right here in the community. And so that has been who we are, what we stand for, and we continue with that consistently. And it's been rewarding to have Pastor Jay. We had Coach doing it for 45 years, and now we got Pastor Jay who shares their vision that was doing the same thing in Inglewood. And now he's here in North Lawndale doing it, and that's so rewarding. I did just tell him a couple of weeks ago, I was in Inglewood. My brother does catering, and we did one of the facilities that he helped start. We did a catering job there, and I was like, man, every time I go south, somebody knows Pastor Jay. And I was just like, oh, I'm sorry we took him from y'all, but y'all can come over there too, But I guess if the whole Inglewood come up here, then we'll have Inglewood. So, but we still in relationship and still partnering with our Southside brothers and sisters as well. So we'll share Pastor Jay, but they can't have him back. We're excited to have him. So it has been a joy and a refreshing experience to have him lead our ministry.
See why I wanted Chelsea to be here, y'all?
Wow.
I had to trick her because if I'd have told her, she would have said, I'm too busy, I can't do it. So I had to trick her.
Like, I can't think of nothing what everything is called. I'm like, what is that thing called again? And what is that?
This is great. One thing that Chelsea didn't share that I think I want to make sure that we connect with her is she talked about being here since she was a small kid, born and raised in this neighborhood. I mean, she is Lawndale to the core. If you've ever seen a president like at an estate dinner, they walk around the room and they know everybody's name. They walk up to the table and they shake their hand and they say, hey, it's because somebody's in their ear saying, now that is Prince so-and-so from blah, blah, blah. Chelsea is my person in my ear. She knows everybody. Like when I'm trying to meet somebody, I just go, okay, Chelsea, who's up the table? Oh, that's so-and-so. They've been here for a long time. They blah, 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 blah. Okay, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. And they're like, wow, I didn't know you knew me. Well, you're unforgettable. So I have a Chelsea, And so what I'm trying to say is her deep roots in this community are also such a gift. And you always know this just ties into what we're saying. What she is a perfect example of what happens when somebody's life is woven together with their faith. She is an example of what it looks like to be the church in the neighborhood. Yeah, she named a lot of programs and buildings and organizations, but none of those things happen without people like Chelsea Johnson who give their lives to seeing the kingdom of God flourish in their place. And that's why.
I was just going to say real quick, I'm sorry to cut you off. I do want to say that me being here so long, because I'm 50 now, me being here so long is by choice. I did, overcome a lot of obstacles I've been homeless. My mother was on drugs and alcohol, so I had a rough start to life, very rough start to life. But I was able to go away to college. I wanted to come back. I came back. I went and got I went through, overcome 3 cancers, sicknesses, and I remain. And I have said since I left the first time, I want to return back to North Lawndale and I want to lay my head to rest. I want to die here. I have traveled and went a lot of places. There's no place like home. Literally, that's why I'm telling you guys, come and see, because North Lawndale is a utopia. There's no other place. When you visit this place, there's no other place you'll go that's like this. And is it all perfect? Absolutely not. But even at its worst day, there's still no place I'd rather be. I love living in North Lawndale. I love working at Lawndale Community Church, and I do it by choice. Like I said, I have a master's degree. I can go somewhere and work and do. I have worked for Cook County. I've done some things, but there's no other place. I want to be used up for the kingdom. I want to do service until I die, and this is where I choose to be. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Chelsea. Go ahead, Tim.
Chelsea, I keep thinking, as you were telling this story, first of all, I have so many more questions for you that we don't have time to get into. A couple hundred.
Not a couple hundred.
A couple hundred questions. However, I'll just say this and then we will open it up for questions. Do you have another 12, 15 minutes, Chelsea?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, great. I think that a lot of people right now, and probably for a long time, when they open the paper or look at Facebook or whatever are just completely overwhelmed with negative and arguably even kind of traumatizing news. It's hard to know what to do with it all. And as you were telling the story, it was another reminder of a couple things. One, of how many stories that are so beautiful that we just never get to see. And underneath that are these incredible characters like yourself who are absolute heroes of the faith that are easy to miss if you're not looking. But I can't tell you what a gift it was to hear this story from you. Y'all know you do have to come, and I've had the great honor of being in Lawndale a lot. I never get sick of it. I never don't learn something. There's never anything I'm like, wow, this is amazing. But I'll maybe pass this over to you, Jay, what you're saying. You're like, this is it entirely. Uh, this is the reason for the mission and the organization of the Parish Collective, is that this story we need in hundreds and thousands of places. And it probably already does exist. We just aren't necessarily always looking for it or connecting it. There's nowhere else quite like North Lawndale, but there are ordinary heroes everywhere whom I think deserve our honor and respect and attention and admiration. And for today, I cannot thank you enough for walking us through this story and being the kind of faithful disciple of Jesus who gets to embody these stories. What a profound gift you've given us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm thankful, and like, look, Parish Collective, you guys have heard my voice a million times. And what I love about what's happening now with Inhabit is that for the first time, I get an opportunity, because I'm asking people to come and see. I was just sharing this with the staff earlier today, that I spent the first 10 years of what I do flying all over the country trying to tell people about all the stuff that was happening in Inglewood and in Chicago. And that was cool, running around saying, let me tell you. I call it go and tell. But I've come very succinctly in line with a little verse nestled in John 1:46, where you got Philip and Nathaniel having a conversation about realizing who this Jesus is. And they say, I found the one whom the prophet's talking about. And then in verse 46, they say, hey, he's from Nazareth, the son of Joseph. And Nathaniel say, Nazareth? Can anything good come from Nazareth? And I love Philip's response. He doesn't defend it. He doesn't say, what do you mean? Absolutely. Let me tell you about him. He says 3 words: come and see. Come and see. And so I've just come to the conclusion, man, when you get to come here and you meet the Chelseas, Dahlias, and Wardells, and Randys, and all of these amazing people who have been here for decades, who have given their lives to this vision, you now get to see why I would choose to leave a place that I was absolutely in love with to come to a place that I'm absolutely in love with. And it's because once I got here and I saw it, I was so attracted that I became addicted to what's happening here. And I believe when you come to Inhabit, when you come to North Lawndale, you too will become addicted. Now, here's the thing. We're not trying to steal you from your place, only if God's calling you. But we want you to fall in love with your place the way we fall in love with ours. And that's the way I define missions. When people ask me to give a definition of mission, I just say it's falling in love with your place the way God does. And that leads you to the activity you will do there, to the decisions that are made there. Our theology behind all that we do is not a place-based theology. It's a theology of place. And what I mean by that is a place-based theology just means that I care about a certain place. I mean, I go to a certain building to have church, or I care about my front lawn, I keep it cut. That's cool. But a theology of place actually shapes your theology. The place itself shapes your theology. It tells you what God is going to do there and why God is important to that place. So yes, we have a health center, we have a development corporation, we have a legal center, we have a Luminati's Pizzeria, we have the Green Tomato Cafe, we have the fitness center, we have the Farm on Island, we have the senior center. We have all of these things. And it's not because we're trying to be some great ministry. It's because we have fallen in love with this place, and this place has shaped the theological work that we will do here. And all we want you to do is come see, so that you too can go back to your place and allow your place to begin to shape your theology, as well as your missiology, what God has called you to do in that place. So please, I mean, the bottom line is, you come to Inhabit, you might as well come to North Lawndale. Because now it's time for you to come and see what God is doing here, so that you can be inspired to go home and do what God is calling you to do there.
Yeah. Thanks be to God. Friends, we'll open up for just like 5 or 6 minutes if you've got questions or comments, or want to even like give some words of gratitude for Chelsea or Jonathan. I'll as you kind of come on camera or kind of wave your hand, I'll also say, this is maybe obvious, but we've never had the opportunity to host Inhabit in a place that so profoundly embodies our deep longings and hopes for the parish collective. And so I think it's going to be amazing, everything that happens, but I can't wait to have everyone just be there, because I forget who says this, the body literally being there, the body knows more than it can tell. You learn things by being there, we can't communicate on this call. You can't read about it. You can't see a video. There is just something that happens in being there and being immersed in this grand narrative that God's been telling for a long, long time. So yeah, we definitely hope you can come. Anybody have any comments, questions? We got about 6 or 7 minutes.
I do. Hey, Chelsea. Hey, Jay. I am curious. You talked a little bit about this, but I'm wondering, so God is at work in Lawndale. God is at work in my place. And you all have heard and have been able to discern the ways that the Spirit is at work. I'm curious if you could talk about that, or if they're like, that's the trick, I feel like, is the paying attention and the discernment. If there's particular ways that you personally or you as a community pay attention to what God is doing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And Chelsea, if you got something, you can jump in. But I tell people it's a lot easier than we think. The problem is not how difficult God makes it for us to discern. It's how difficult it is for us to listen. That's really the issue. And so one of the main philosophies here we have is that idea of listening. Nothing that happened in North Lawndale was because we sat down in a boardroom and said we want to do that. It's because we listened to what the community said was a need. And we did not say, let's fix that for our community. We said, if that's a need, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? So I always tell people, when you have a theology of place, it sends you down a path you never would have imagined you were going. Because all you're doing is opening your ears to listen, not just to God, but to your neighbor, like to the person that lives next to you. And they will speak to you in a way that begins to inform you of where God may be leading you. So whether I was in Inglewood or whether I was here in North Lawndale, everything that was done in my life has been because I took the opportunity to listen to somebody else and say, okay, I don't know how to do that, or I didn't think that was something I would be doing, but if that's where we're going, I'm all in. So the key is listening. There's a poem that we use in Christian community development that I think sums that up, and I'll make sure people hear it all the time, attributed to Lao Tzu, and it just goes, listen to the people, right? Like it's well, first of all, it's an old poem that is, we don't know if it's attributed to Lao Tzu, but we believe it is. But it's go to the people, live among them, learn from them, listen to them, start with what they know, build on what they have. But of the best leaders, when the task is done, the people will say, we have done it ourselves. The goal is not to be a superhero and help and have everybody patting you on the back for all the work you've done. The goal is to step into real relationship. It says, go to the people, live among them, learn from them, love them, right? The goal at the end of the day is for the community to say, look what we've done. And I'll tell you, being a pastor here, that has been I can't walk past anybody who don't want to tell me that they helped dig out the gym, right? Like they are all a part of this story and everything that's happened around here. That's why it's named after Lawndale. Lawndale is not us. Lawndale is North Lawndale. So, yeah, listening to your neighbor as much as you are trying to listen to the voice of God. Your neighbor's voice might actually be the voice of God for you.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Thank you. I love the digging out the gym. I mean, that is insane and amazing.
Incredible. It's incredible. Any other questions or comments? I have time for about one more. Let's see here. Missing anybody? Okay, the last one. Well, this is kind of an obvious one, but just in a minute or two for both of you, what are you, as it relates to kind of you've brought us essentially up to the kind of present story of Lawndale. What are you excited about that you feel like are the invitations of God for this next year or two or beyond? Maybe if you could each take a minute on that. It could be personal, it could be ministry-wise in the neighborhood.
All right. Well, I will say, I think one of the things that I'm excited about, seeing here in Lawndale is there's been a lot of people celebrating the growth that they've had from one area of life or one scenario to where they are now. And I think we want to continue to celebrate that. That's our neighborhood as well. That's individual people. That's even the infrastructure of the community. It looks completely different after 45, 47 years now. However, that is not as miraculous to the current generation. When they walk the streets, they go, of course, so we're supposed to have a health center. Of course, you're supposed to have like houses. Of course, you're supposed to have like a gym. This is normal stuff. Whereas for those of us who watch all of this not be here in this disinvested place, it's like a miracle. What we call the Lawndale miracle, this generation is calling life. And so I think I'm excited about them being involved in what God is saying that they feel is missing from their community and them being able to move us to the next segment of what it looks like in the Lawndale miracle story. So, I think that I am excited about working with young adults and young people who will be the next generation of Chelsea Johnsons and take us on a new journey and a new story that hasn't even been written yet. And so that excites me every day as I wake up.
Mm-hmm. And I would say my excitement is the new energy that Pastor Jay brings and the connections to the outreach of the community and drawing in partnerships has been really rewarding. We've had partnerships and we continue to have partnerships, but just the partnerships that are being established and they're younger, they're more vibrant, they have a lot of energy to do things. And so I'm excited because that will capture and captivate the kind of what Pastor Jay is saying in the younger generations and the young adults. I'm also excited about the students that are graduating, that are going to go away and come back, and what they're going to bring back to the community, and even the ones we have several that are graduating this year and what they're bringing back to the community. So I'm excited to see what God has done on the outskirts of North Lawndale and what they're going to be able to bring back to enhance who we are and what we're trying to continue to do here. And I'm also excited about getting out the way and letting some of these younger people do the work. Because like I said, I've done a lot of work. And I don't shy away from it, but I'm excited to move out the way and just clap and join the fan clubs of those that'll be doing the work beyond me.
Love it. Beautiful. Well, Chelsea, Jonathan, we cannot thank you enough for spending this hour with us. What an absolute gift. For y'all, and this will be on, other people might listen to this later, but absolutely, if by any means you can come to join us in Inhabit this year, it's going to be incredible, not least because of heroes like these. So appreciate you both. Really thanking God for you today, especially, and really grateful for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, y'all.
Bye.
Everybody.